On today's episode of Locked On Avalanche, that's 3 down, 3 to go in this current 6-game homestand for the Colorado Avalanche. But it didn't come easy against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Lots to talk about. Let's do it. New episode of Locked On Avalanche coming at you.
You're Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. I'm your host, Chris Maselli. And with me, as always, Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. Thank you for tuning in and making this your first listen of the day. Always appreciated. If you want to get in on the conversation, join our subtext. Link is in the show notes below. Chat with Kyle and I one-on-one. We get your opinion, everything Avalanche related, which we share on this very podcast. We'll get to some subtext comments about the Avs 4-1 win over the Pittsburgh Penguins a little bit later. But yeah, man, like it was 4-1. This was almost like that Devils game where it was close and the Avs, got some late goals in the third and the score didn't really tell the full story in that game. It's kind of true for this one. 4-1 looks like, oh, the Avs were in control of that game. Not that they were not in control of it, but it was a very just back and forth game. And the thing I like about it is they found a way to win it. And that it just gave me the feelings of, even the year that they won the cup, that, when they didn't play their best game, they found a way to win that game. And if you can get that from this Avalanche team, I will be a happy podcaster. Because if they can, go back to that style of even when we don't have it, we still found a way to get the 2 points. That's a plus.
Yeah, and I'll agree with you there. Like, it wasn't the ideal 60-minute game that you wanted to see, especially against that opponent. But you got the 2 points which you needed. You got the win. You kind of went unscathed. You got a good performance out of your goalie, and you've seen this team a couple times early in the year have games like this and just completely unplug, not even worry about it, and move on to the next game. And I agree. Like, they found a way to win, which is good. But, the realist part of me is like, it didn't have to be like this, guys. I was expecting a 10 spot, and it just did not. This was not it. About the second period, I was sitting here just kind of like, massaging my eyebrows saying, why did I have to guess a 10 spot? And then knowing if they're going to play down to their opponent, you have San Jose coming on Thursday. It could be the most lifeless game you've ever seen in your entire life.
Do you think it's them like playing down to the opponent, or the other way, that Pittsburgh plays up a level when you're playing a team like the Avalanche or any team that's above you? You would think that someone like Pittsburgh would want to play a good game all the time. And I'm sure there's Avalanche fans that feel like, why does it always happen to us? Why do we always get goalied? And there's 31 other fan bases that probably think the same exact thing. But I didn't think the Avalanche played a bad game. I don't think they played a good game. I thought they just played. This game was just it was one of the more open games that I've seen the Avalanche play in a long time. I think that the kind of the scouting report on the Avalanche is like, pressure them, and because they want to use their speed, and they want to do and if you get in their face, like they struggle to do that. But I didn't really see Pittsburgh doing that too much. I was surprised that you didn't have more goals in that. Well, you had 4 from the Avalanche, 2 were empty netters, so eliminate that. I was surprised you didn't see more goals from the Avs because they had open looks. The shots on goal don't tell the story either, because I thought this was a kind of a track meet of a game, and both teams had really good opportunities, and it does come down to the goalies having good games. But what do you think about the whole, I don't want to say it's the Avalanche played down to Pittsburgh. Maybe just Pittsburgh elevated their game a little bit more.
Well, I don't know if it's so much as playing down as in just not, like, you look at the schedule, you see we have Pittsburgh, we have San Jose, and then we have Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
So you're kind of saving yourself. You're not giving 110% against Pittsburgh. Probably not going to give it against San Jose, because realistically you should win this game. So there's not that epic playoff type feel to this game. And like they even mentioned it in the first intermission on Altitude. Mitchell was talking about the style of play for the Penguins is kind of the fun parts of hockey where you don't care about wins and losses. This Penguin season, it's over and you're just out there having fun. And they mentioned like the Penguins just don't care. And at that point, like the Avs are getting outshot. So like you could say like the Penguins just don't care about wins and losses, and the team that really needs the points is getting outshot. And yes, they had good like opportunities, but you got to convert some of those. And their goaltending, like they let up their 30th for goals against. Like you can't get goalied. You have a really good roster, and you should be able to break that. And you got to outshoot them at some point. So yeah, the opportunities were there. It's not playing down. They just kind of reserved themselves, trying to prolong their bodies for the rest of the year because the Avalanche get injured a lot. So they just weren't fully engaged. And you watch the first two and a half periods. It wasn't like a fully engaged, like we have to get this goal. Like they knew what the outcome was going to be. They just weren't pressed to make it early.
The first period in particular was kind of a little bit of everything. There was like some exciting moments. Like I said, I thought there was a lot of like open ice moments. But then the bad side, like a lot of sloppy play from the, like they go back to that bad turnovers in their defensive end. That happened a lot in this game. So that's why I said earlier, like I didn't think it was their worst game, but it definitely wasn't their best game. It just towed the line of, you do that against another team and they're going to make you pay for it.
Yep.
And the next game is Toronto, is it not? I think
I think Toronto's Saturday. I think San Jose is Thursday.
San Jose the first one. Okay, well the Toronto, you do that against Toronto, and you do that against the wrong line, and you're gonna pucks are gonna be in the back of your net. But this was one of those games where for the Avalanche, like with their opportunities, again, if you're playing another team, you have to convert those opportunities. While it was a very nice play and a difficult play early on, that Val Nichushkin play where he's kind of like weaving in and out of everybody. Great play, great save on the goalie's end, but you want to see those ones go in. You had a 2-on-0, and you were shorthanded. A 2-on-0. And he sailed the puck wide. I think the goalie maybe got a blocker on it, if I'm not mistaken. But I would have liked to see a little bit of pitch and catch there. It was 2-0. Like nobody was even close to you. You don't get a 2-on-0 when you're shorthanded. So stuff like that, man, is what really could have just made this game a little bit more comfortable, and you could deal with the mistakes because there was a lot of them on the defensive side, and we'll get to Wedgewood a little bit later, but he bailed you out. But you again, it's the opponent kind of lets you get away with some of that stuff, and you can have that, okay, not our best game and still come out on top.
Yeah, and going to your point about like the sloppy play, this was in the second period where Cale was getting ready to get the play going in the defensive end, and it just wasn't there. He let a shift happen, got full bodies. He was kind of waiting, and he still was waiting, and Taser was there. Nate eventually skated up to him on their own blue line to get re-engaged, and as soon as they pushed the puck, it went to Nathan MacKinnon at the blue line. Again, stop me if you've seen this before. They pass it to Nathan MacKinnon at the blue line, immediately is touched, immediately loses the puck, and immediately it goes the other way. Just like you waited for 20, 30 seconds to get this play going. Everybody in the building knew where it was going, and everybody knew the outcome. Because as soon as Nate touched that blue line, he got a body, lost the puck, and it was just like, there's no push because they felt like we don't have to get crazy to get a goal. We know it's going to break. We know the talent will win out. And you just
take that for granted this year, man.
that's the thing. Like, I know this team mentality, they take like the 10-game segments and they like to forget a lot, but we've seen a lot with this team. Like the beginning of the season was extremely rocky. The win-loss repeat that they went on. Like I like that they can forget all that, but also please don't forget that you did all that, and please don't take these games for granted because you've lost. You won the season series against Pittsburgh. Congratulations.
Yeah.
But you want a little bit more hunger in these games. Get used to that. Practice the hunger part.
Yeah. So we'll get to I want to talk about obviously Scott Wedgewood because he had a fantastic game. Stats to get to obviously and the one power play. It's all they needed. Came through. So we'll do that. We obviously have our subtext people and our sound check all to get to. We'll do all that next. Let's hear from FanDuel because when the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started, and there's no better place to get in on it than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because with FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game. So even if you miss the opening tip-off or want to bet on a fourth quarter comeback, you can stay in on the action. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay. Sure, we're talking about the NBA, but Kyle's getting ready for some NCAA with his Auburn boys. Are they still #1, sir?
Yeah, literally, they just lost tonight to A&M, but that's their third loss of the year. They're still #1. Pick
A&M.
Auburn.
Where's A&M?
Texas A&M.
No, I know that. I'm just saying. I mean, like, where are they? In
22
ranking. They
22.
are ranked. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, I think Auburn's got a #1 locked up.
Yes, absolutely.
So right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com and join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Scott Wedgewood in the net, and this is becoming like a solid tandem, and it was fun to have the play on words with Blackwood and Wedgewood, but they're living up to the hype, man. Especially Scott Wedgewood when he's getting his opportunities, he is making the best of them, and I'm getting to that point that we were with Frankie, and even with Frankie and the Grubauer tandem, where I don't care who you got in net. I feel good about this. So I had a feeling that he might get the start today because you had consecutive days off, which doesn't really happen at this point in the season. So they're giving Blackwood like the extra day. I'm okay with that. And is San Jose the next game?
Yes, it is San Jose, then Toronto.
So maybe it is a little bit surprising that they gave Wedgewood this one because you're going to go to Blackwood against San Jose? I guess they could. I mean, nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying, and just for matchups.
Yeah.
You're going against a lesser team. I don't know. I'm not going there, but I thought he was fantastic tonight.
And, you bring up a great point. Like we were talking in the first segment about we've seen the beginning of this year for this Avalanche team. This tandem from overanalyzing every shot that went on Georgie and Juice to not even thinking about the goalies. Like, Wedgewood not only faced a ton of shots and saved this win is on Wedgewood and Wedgewood alone.
He's #1 star, yeah.
And not only that, he was getting extra physical, like extra after the whistles, like some contact, some being skated into, got some pucks, and to get up, which is something we also are not used to. Usually, if like Georgie, Juice, Frankie, if they got any contact, that was it. It was something tore. We will not see them for another couple months. And all you thought about was the goalies. I don't even think about goalies anymore. Wedgewood had a 970 night. 970. And the goalie position is the last thing I think about. I think about Bernie more than I think about the goalie position for this Avalanche team.
Is that not a complete 180? I'm with you too. I know what you mean when you say you don't think about them. It's just like, it's not like you don't go into the game being like, okay, how many do we have to score today? Are we going to give up the first shot, first goal type of nonsense stuff like that? That's so far out of the mind of an Avalanche fan now, which is just incredible to think on how this season started. And the one goal that he gave up tonight for Wedgewood, like really not his fault. Bad turnover.
Yep.
Like you said, like these defensive turnovers, a bad turnover and just some nice passing by the Penguins. Nobody's going to stop that. Shesterkin's not going to stop that. So that's the one that he gave up. You wish he could have that back so he could have that goose egg. But other than that, he was phenomenal. So,
and he's already got a couple goose eggs on the year. So
yeah.
That's also nice to have.
Yeah. So I mentioned the Avs power play. They finally get a power play. Some questionable no calls that didn't go the Avs way. Refs were really letting a lot go. Not that there was like so much like egregious stuff going on in this game, but the couple times that it did happen, they let it go. A couple trips here and there. The one that was on McKinnon, when it looked bad. And then when they ran the replay, I'm like, I don't really think there's much there. Like the one that was like right down the center towards the end of the game. That's when the crowd was way up in arms. I was with them. And I think it was, the way McKinnon kind of like bounced around a little bit and probably tried to sell it a little bit. But it just on regular speed looked like there was something. On the replay, I give credit to the rest because I really didn't see a lot there. I didn't.
Well, the thing is, like before, as the game was getting started, I saw Wes McCauley was the referee, and I knew what we were in for. It was going to be loose, and then they're going to figure out, oh, we need to call something, and Wes is not going to turn down the opportunity to get on the mic, so he is going to be on the mic. And yeah, it was he wasn't going to let that game go all the way through. There was a lot of weird tummy sticks between this whole. I get it, the narrative between Sid and Nate. It felt like a ceremonial game more than an NHL game. Like even Altitude was running graphics and video packages for Sid and Nate. Like we all witnessed the Four Nations. We understand the story. We don't need it to be a part of this game day because they are enemies here. Mm-hmm. I understand they're friends, but they're trying to win. So I guess West was just like hands off. Like there was not a lot. Pittsburgh had 2, Colorado had 1, and Colorado was 100%, and Pittsburgh was 0%.
That's exactly how we like it.
Yeah.
And they said on the broadcast that we knew Pittsburgh has a good power play anyway. I think they're 8th in the league on a power play. On the road, they're number 1, which
good for them.
Is pretty well. Was it the power play that they were number 1 or the penalty kill? Maybe I'm getting.
I think it might be. I think it might be the power play.
I thought it was. I thought they said the power. I could be mixing that up. Either way. They have a good power play, and the Avs shut it down. And then on the flip side of it, the Avs get. I feel like this has happened a lot this year, Kyle, where the Avs get a late third period power play, and sometimes they are able to connect, sometimes they're not. This time they did on an absolutely incredible pass from Valnichushkin over to Casey Mittelstadt. Like how that puck got through, though, there was a couple sticks, 3 sticks, really, including the goalie, and it found its way cross ice, really just in front of the net, and Mittelstadt buries it. So anytime Casey Mittelstadt scores, it's just like, okay, like you just feel like there's so much weight coming off of his shoulders whenever he scores. Does that mean anything for the trade deadline? Remains to be seen, but at least he like since Nichushkin has come back, you've seen a change in his play. I still think he just gets rubbed off the puck way too easy.
Absolutely.
His board play is not the best. He does his damage when, he's got time and space, and he can create time and space for himself. But if you're a defender and you put pressure up on him, you can take the puck away from him pretty easily. And I don't like seeing,
especially if you're like, I understand that Nuke does bring his level of play up, but you're also not going to be taking hits on Nichushkin. You'd much rather peel off and go towards Mittelstadt. So it's only going to get worse from an eye test. You're not going to go taking hits after Nuke. So you're going to line up Mitts every day and make him look silly. And that's one of his downfalls of his game. And I feel like that has something to do with the confidence thing. But, I mean, it does look good. And you heard C-Mac talking positively about him. And it kind of tracks that he gets a goal on the power play. And guess what? The power play doesn't suck as bad anymore. So
it's starting to do good. Yeah.
Goalies are good. Power plays getting there. Okay. That's nice.
Right. It's kind of what you want. All right. Want to ask about the new guy, Ryan Lindgren, how we thought he played. And then, of course, we'll get to our subtext people and our sound checks. That's all next. All right, so Jimmy Vesey did not play in this game. Ryan Lindgren did. We just assumed that was going to happen, as he will every day. And the one thing that we kept throwing out was, oh, he won't have to play as much, and his minutes will go down a little bit, which hopefully will help everything else in his game. And dude played over 20 minutes. So, but everybody, like the time on ice for your defenders is spread out almost like beautifully. Like Taves and Makar, 24, 23, 23, 22. So, and then you go to Sammy G and Lindgren to 22, 32 to 20, 33. And then Shillington and Malinsky, 15:05 and a second under 13 minutes for Malinsky. So that is a beautiful, just nice levels of your pairings, and nobody's overextended. But Lindgren's still out there for 20 minutes, but whatever. He's used to that. But I don't think he played terribly. I don't think he had a great game. I for a first game, new system, new team. Good job.
Yeah, he survived game one. He didn't.
Yeah.
I'm not going to have a long diatribe on Ryan Lindgren's play because there's nothing really to talk about.
No, I thought he was good. He was serviceable, and you just need to learn from there. I've said this before, like new defenders coming into the Avalanche system, I always go back to the Josh Manson trade. And he said it, I think, the following season. He got acquired around the trade deadline, and then the next year he was like, that was a struggle to learn this system on the defensive side, and it took him a while to do that. So I always have that in the back of my head. I don't know if that's true for everybody. Everyone has a different skill set and asked to do different things. But that's always in my head. And when I'm watching Lindgren play for these first handful of games, I'll be kind of like seeing if that's an issue for him as well. Who knows?
And with what we have seen with Avalanche defenders, if we have nothing to say about you, you're doing a good job.
Yeah. If you don't let up anything, if your plus minus is 0, I will take that.
Yep.
Which he was.
Yep.
He was exactly 0. So Taves with a +3 day, and no points for him. So he was, that's a nice stat line when you're +3. You were out there for 3 of your team's goals, and you didn't cash in on any of them. So good for you, I guess.
Good job.
Looking at you had Lehkonen with the 2 goals. So Makar with an assist, Mittelstadt with the goal, McKinnon with 2 assists. So he's up to 92, I think, on the season. Jack Drury with the empty netter right at the end there as time was expiring. So good for him.
I still love his play.
Yeah, you do. You have to. All right, let's hear from some Subtext crew here. Going over to K. Says Pittsburgh gets goalied this time. Wedgewood was a hero. Birthday boy Val. That's right. It was his birthday. Had a fantastic game. And that pass to Casey, that was a thing of beauty. Absolutely. He's already lifting Mittelstadt's game. I'm wondering how much this is throwing a wrench into what the Avalanche plan was for him. I can't say, but I think it's maybe changed the dynamic a little bit. But is it too little too late? I don't know.
I feel like he just bought him with Nuke coming back. I feel like Mitz will be here. I don't think he's going anywhere.
Yeah. And then she goes on. They made 100 mistakes. Wedgie saved them multiple times, but they found a way to win. Nice to get a streak going. And we got a sound check. Pinball Wizard. I'm guessing just because of the back and forth nature of the game would be.
That's a great song.
That's
a great song.
Cody Wedgewood stood on his head for this one, and Mittelstadt is getting some stats on the board again. He said, "See what I did there? I'm not picking up on Mittelstadt is getting some stats. Oh, Mittelstadt is getting some stats. There we go.
And he's getting middle stats.
He's made middle stats, which I could be wrong, but I think this is the first time they've won 3 in a row in 2025.
Ooh,
yeah, I believe so. I mean, January was just win loss. And maybe you had 2 in a row at some point in January, but with the break. No, wait, going in before. No, he might be right. I think you only had 2 in a row going into the 4 Nations break.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look at November.
Well, he's saying from 2025.
Oh,
He's not
2025.
saying, since the calendar changed. So I think he might be right on that. We got electrician Ziggy here, says Wedgie played absolutely lights out. Is the highlight without question. The rest of the game was pretty much forgettable. However, I did like seeing Lecky continue his amazing season. Well deserved. I don't think we talk about it enough. We talk about Lehkonen a lot, but maybe not enough. Like I've said before, like I think it's going to go down as one of the best trades in franchise history. It's just going to get buried under the Patrick Waz and Ray Borks of the trades in the Avalanche history. But it was such a huge move, and he's having an incredible season.
Yeah, and with Nuke coming back, like that top 6 is locked. Those names, those numbers, that's your top 6. Enjoy.
Joe says, great start, incredibly subpar 40 minutes, great finish. Wedgie stood on his head. I'm glad to see Mitzi figuring it out again. He's going with Are You Dead Yet? Children of Bodom.
I almost picked that song tonight.
Really?
I did.
Still waiting for it to happen.
Almost.
Still waiting. And then Vargar, save Vargar for last, like I usually do. Hopefully scouts were in the building watching Mittelstadt. If they were, maybe the price went up a little bit. I don't know, because I thought he played a really good game.
I honestly, I feel like the nomenclature and the tone that CMAC had in that press conference was low-key letting you know we're not giving up on him yet.
Yeah, it's true. I sent out a survey to the Subtext people, and I asked them about Mittelstadt. And the question was, should the Avs, it's pretty simple, should they trade him? Should they trade Casey Mittelstadt at the deadline, or give him more time with this new consistent line that he's getting? And 72% of our subtexters said give him more time with a consistent line. Again, is it too little, too late? Have the Avs already made up their mind on him, or are they seeing what he's done in just this small sample size? Say, like, man, if that's what we can get, maybe we're, because he's under contract for next year. So if you hold on to him for this year and you circle back to this next year, if you're getting kind of the beginning stages of his season, well, not the beginning stages, because that was really good. I say the middle stages of his season. If you're getting that again next year, then you can always, involve him in a trade for next year. But maybe it's a little bit too premature to do it this year because he is under contract, and that's valuable to some teams. We'll see how it goes.
No, I respect the democracy that the citizens of Subtextia have. I agree with this vote, and I feel like he's not the droid you're looking for.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to work on some stuff, absolutely. Yeah. But can they make it work with him? We'll know that answer by Friday.
Yeah.
So, all right, last thing we got to get to, that is our sound check, where Kyle and I pick one song each and put them on a playlist over on Spotify. You can search. Well, the song is a summary. I should have said that. We pick one song each that summarizes the most recent game. I missed up my spiel on the sound check.
It's our first time.
Yeah. And then you can follow along on this playlist over on Spotify. Just search LOA Soundcheck. This one is volume 4. What do you have for this one, sir?
Well, I'm not too sure. I'm not too proud. It was good. Oh. That's exactly where I'm going. That's the good, better than Ezra. That it summarizes just this game. I'm not too sure. I'm not too proud, but it's good.
It's good. I love Better Than Ezra, man.
Yeah.
They're like one of my unsung bands for some reason. Like I've just followed them since the 90s.
That's how I am with Bare Naked Ladies, but I'm right there with you.
They have some really good songs. And they're still sticking it out.
Yeah.
They're still doing it. So great pick. But you're right. It was good.
It's all it is. Like if you're looking at this in the box score, you're like, okay, that was a good game. You got your points. That's all that matters. And where I'm going with mine is pretty much in the same realm. Like that's why we do the show together. We're kind of like finishing each other's sandwiches.
I went with Silverchair off
Ooh.
the Frog Stomp album. Phenomenal album, one of the great grunge albums of the 90s. The very last song on that album, and I'm shocked I didn't pick this during the Cup run, because I believe, wasn't it during the Cup run, their mantra was "Find a Way"?
Yeah,
That's the name of the song. Find a way. They did. And I'm really mad at myself that I didn't use this 3 years ago. But I'm using it now for a random game in March against the Pittsburgh Penguins. So better 3 years later than never. Find a way, Silverchair. Put it on the playlist.
You know how sick of a person I am? I listen to Grateful Dead songs now, and I'm like, this reminds me of that Tampa Bay game we had 2 years ago. Like,
it's like when like Guitar Hero first came out, and you're just listening to songs on the radio. You're like, how would this go on a video game with the Guitar Hero? Yeah, I do the same thing. Like, oh, I got to remember that song for later because I could use that in the bank. Yeah, I do. I have a playlist of possibles.
Oh, really?
Yes, I have a long running playlist of possible songs that could sometimes use them, sometimes I don't. This was not on there, but yeah, that's where we're at. So, all right, sir, that's going to wrap it up for today. So thank you everybody for tuning in and making this your first listen of the day. Always appreciated. He's Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. I am Chris Maselli. This is the Locked On Avalanche podcast. We didn't even talk about Sidney Crosby remaining in Colorado, but we are another 24 hours closer to Sidney Crosby being a member of the Colorado Avalanche.
Never heard of him.